here we go with Jimmy Queen. Thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks for having me.
So I was kind of doing a little research about you. 2016, you got sober.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you are a fitness coach.
Yep.
Online.
Yeah.
And it was cool because you have about 250,000 followers on your Insta.
Yeah.
And so I pull it up and I'm looking at, you always look at like mutual
friends and all that stuff,
and who follows you. And, my world, it's, I have so many different buckets of friends.
So
I
do
have
I.
my friends from the sobriety world. I've coached football around here for a long time. That from my church world, from different, and you had like 5 or 6 kids on there that I used to coach football for like 8 years ago. A bunch of the sobriety people, obviously, people from my church at Calvary Chapel that were following you. So I thought that was like this big, like diversified thing. So where'd you grow up? You grew up around here?
Yeah. Born and raised in Huntington Beach. I'll be here the rest of my life. I just bought our dream house. So
in HB?
Yeah.
Nice.
Now we're locked in forever,
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. And so, where'd you go to high school?
I went to Huntington High.
You went to Huntington?
Yeah.
The Oilers.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oilers. Orange and black, dude.
Nice.
Loved it there.
So what was life like growing up for you in Huntington? Childhood, family?
Dude, it had its struggles, like kind of, I think everybody does, no matter how great a family looks, there's some stuff going on. I was super blessed in the sense my parents loved us. Like no matter what they were going through, like we didn't feel that, and like they had their hard times. Like I kind of followed their footsteps in. They started a family when they were kids, 19 years old. My mom had her first kid and my dad was 19 too. They met in middle school, loved each other.
You're the oldest?
I'm in the middle.
Okay.
So super early on, before my story, like I always say, my story kind of took place before I was born because my parents lost their first son, and they were 21 years old.
Okay.
To a drowning, which was super heavy. I mean, being a dad now, that's like, I couldn't.
You can't imagine.
No.
Once you're a parent, you look at
No.
you look at things from
No.
a different
Yeah.
lens.
They're my life.
Yeah.
There's no like life without them. Everything we do, anything and every decision comes back to like what is best suited for them,
Yeah.
That's where like buying the house came from. It was like, this is a dream home and the track we want. All of that stems from like the life I want them to have,
Right.
So, man, yeah, with that being said, like kind of took them through this whirlwind. They had my older brother, Mitch, so he was a newborn. They didn't have time to grieve and like heal, It was like they still had a son.
And that was your brother that
one.
was 3 years old that they lost.
Yeah, he was 2.5. So super heavy. I mean, they leaned in pretty hard on their faith. Like, luckily, my family had some people that were like very knowledgeable on the Bible and the Word, and they leaned in on that, and also leaned into like some alcohol stuff, which stemmed throughout the next 30-something years for my pops. Like he struggled pretty bad. Dude, my best friend. I never, ever want anyone to ever think he's nothing but the best guy in the world, because he is. Guy, even at his lowest lows, give you the shirt off his back.
Right.
That's who he is. He just had a demon that he struggled with, and alcohol was a crutch. And it is for most people. It is for a lot of us, whether you even know it or not. Like, it's an easy crutch to go to. Good day, bad day, what do? You drink.
Right. Yeah.
So growing up, super lucky too. Like, it's kind of funny, like, growing up in HB's grown into this massive town community, but the core of it's small. And especially back then, and like even definitely prior to me being born, so like all the old HB guys, all the old HB lokes, like those were all my uncles. My parents were one of very few people in their age bracket at the time that owned a house. They bought a house. They bought their first house when I was about 5 years old, 6 years old. So that was like the zone,
Yeah.
All the boys came over every day, drink, party, kegerator, swimming pool. That was just, it was pretty wild. So I just grew up in that environment. My parents worked downtown. Their office was actually like in Aloha Grill. So I was either in the party scene at home or I was like in the party scene like downtown, you know, from day one. And
Did you grow up in a Christian household, or?
yeah, we didn't always go to church, but like it was there, you know, like God was always talked about. I always had a relationship with God, and that kind of came with like some negative side effects every once in a while, because you know, if you're like throwing back liquor and then like God starts getting talked about and you're just a little kid. And so a lot of the times for me, it kind of built up a little bit of a resentment, in the sense of like, all right, like we're preaching right now, but it was always stemmed from like booze too, you know? So it like kind of left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth, but that was like an own personal issue that I kind of figured out later on in life. You know, I always, being an adult now, being sober myself now, I feel like when those conversations were going on, it was like God was reaching out to my pops when he was at his lowest low. You know, he never forgot about him.
Yeah.
You know, so my childhood was good though. Like I said, there was that party scene, some good about it and some bad, you know, like Huntington's weird, dude. Like there's so much talent, there's so much good, but you could get lost in the quicksand really fast. You know, you look up to certain people and those are your idols. And my idols to me were always more of like, they had like that rock star mentality, which is super fun while it's a party. And then the party ends and the partying doesn't end, you know?
And Huntington has some kind of subcultures there too, right? Like, yeah. So
for sure.
You got the surfers, the punk rock kids,
and they're all kind of intertwined and mixed, you know? So like all my dad's boys, it was like, I was born in 1990, so like, but they were all listening to like TSOL and Black Flag and like all the sick old punk bands, and like a lot of those guys are local too, you know? So yeah, like the whole live fast, like die last, dude, you know? Like it was just, it was a super fun environment to grow up in. And honestly, like looking back, I'm really lucky to have grown up in that, because I dealt with like every personality in the world. You know, you're dealing with people that are like super charismatic, and some of them are nuts, and some of them are like super flighty and they want to fight all the time. And like you get the mellow guys that are kind of hard to get information out of, and you have to learn how to talk to them to pull the information out of. So like with being a coach and everything else, like a lot of the ways I deal with people and like my social skills within itself kind of all stemmed from growing up in a party scene where you just learn how to communicate with every single personality that's out there.
So you know how to approach different people.
Yeah.
Differently. What were you like in high school?
You know what? I was pretty mellow. Like high school for me, it was just kind of a walk in the park, you know? Like I didn't take it serious. I wanted to surf. I wanted to party. At the time too, like I got my little hustle going on the side, and it was easy. I knew the older guys were doing it, saw them bringing in like the bucks, so I jumped into that. You know, I didn't want a job.
Yeah.
I didn't want to like, you know, I'm seeing all these dudes go to work after class or whatever. I'm like, no, dude, I'm making like when I started, I was laughing at my teachers. Like, you're telling me what to do. I make more fucking money than you do.
Yeah.
You know, like you're gonna tell me how to live my life. Yeah. Like that was my approach. That was my mentality. Like I kind of thought I knew everything. A little cocky and arrogant for sure. Like always a good person. I always cared about everybody, but when you're young, it's so hard. You just think you got it all figured out. You think you know everything,
and nothing's gonna happen to you.
And nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah,
to you,
absolutely.
You know? It's just And the longer it goes, that ego kind of will build, and you think you're good, and then you get checked. You get
humbled. So did that ever turn bad? You got out of high school. Were your plans to go to college, or did you jump straight into working? Or
yeah, so when I was in high school, even though I was doing like all the stupid stuff, I wanted to be a firefighter in the sense of like, okay, and I was looking at it like the wrong way. Like I knew I could help people, but I'm like, oh, pension, their hours, like. It's a good gig, and that's just what everyone older tells you. They're just like, do it, you know. So I took all those classes then. Even when I was a knucklehead, I felt a little bit like like an imposter, like being in a class, knowing like, you know, everyone's collared shirt. I'm wearing a Rancid tee. I'm selling bud in the parking lot, you know, like before class, after class, everything else. And that's how high school was too. Like, but like fresh out of high school, it's just everything. Like I said, like. The partying just didn't end, and it kind of went from partying to using, you know, like moved out with some of my best friends. One was an iron worker, one was a crane operator. We're 18 years old. Dude, and it just got out of control, you know, like 3 young men thinking they know a lot about life. They want to hang out with chicks. They want to party, and everyone was an addict, you know, like, and things just got dark pretty quick. You know, we only lived there for a year, and it was like, felt like 20.
So in high school, were you doing more than drinking and smoking weed?
Yeah, I was still like, I'd still take pills, like do coke. Like, I feel like that was pretty normal. Like, at Huntington, you know, like I wasn't super into, like, ecstasy was getting really big. I was more of like smoke weed like daily, and then it was like drink, do coke, because it just went good with drinking, and, you know, like Xanax, Norcos, Vicodin, Somas, Valiums, like those were just always like the like make you feel good type of thing, you know. But it was always controlled. It was always controlled like chaos. It was like you know, I think in the beginning, bro, more of it's like you want to fit in. You want to like show the older dudes like you could hang, and that's what it was for me. That's how everything was for me, really. You know, like why I start surfing. The dudes you look up to, they surf, they rip, and then you get into that. And what's the next step? Well, like they party hard and they pull chicks. So like that's what you want to do. I always felt like I was looking for validation from the people older than me, you know, like the generation up. And I always felt like I had something to prove, which is, it's just not a way to live. You know, you got to do what's right for you. And when you're young, especially like, I guess it's for both genders, but I think like a young man or whatever, like you want to prove something, you know, you want to prove you're a man. But then like now you fast forward the clock, I'm 35 years old, like being a man is completely different from what I thought a man was growing up.
Yeah,
you know?
we're programmed to think as men we're certain ways. Even just as I get older, how I live my life is so much different than even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And you realize, okay, you know, we're not supposed to show emotion. We're not supposed to cry. We're not supposed to have feelings except for anger. You know, it's all that kind of programming stuff. I don't know, like that came from my parents who were very well intentioned, but you're the boy of the family. You're the man, you know, in the family, and that's 100%. What a man is. And then I get it, man. And then can also really relate to that Coke and alcohol
for sure
combination, because that's what led me to the
dark side.
Quick. Yeah.
And you when you fall into it, you kind of like, I felt it coming, but I was like, I'm good, you know. And then it was like, man, 18 years old, every day is another bottle and another bag. And then you start kind of seeing, like, man, it's so crazy, because I felt everything slipping a little bit, you know. And the people you used to hang out with, like, you're not, you know. And the people you are hanging out with, you're like, what the fuck am I doing hanging out with these people?
Right.
Like, this isn't my crowd, this isn't my scene. Kind of feel dirty, and you kind of lose that spark about yourself, like your identity, like the thing that used to like that light you used to bring to the table when you would hang out with people is kind of like dimming day by day by day, because you're really just burying who you are, you know. And something I've had some conversations with some young kids that like going through the same thing at like the same age as me, and they're like telling me, you know, like I want to get back to who I used to be. And it's like, you know what, bro, I'm going to tell you something that I wish someone would have told me. It's not about getting back to who you used to be. It's about who you could become. You got to stop looking back. You got to stop chasing ghosts, and you got to start looking ahead.
Yeah.
Because it's good you went through everything you did. You go through these hurdles, these struggles, and it's like, but those are all the things that build you up into who you're meant to be.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard to see that when you're going through it, because when you're going through it, it hurts.
Absolutely.
And it's dark.
Absolutely.
And no one wants to struggle.
Absolutely.
You know?
So you're living with these dudes in this house. You're 18, and you said that got dark pretty quick and ended after a year. How did that end?
Man, they were pulling the plug on us regardless. Like, we pissed off everybody. It was a weird thing too. Like, property manager was totally whacked out on meth. She was pregnant. Like, I didn't even know she was pregnant. You know, it was crazy. Like, she ended up having a kid. Cops showed up because obviously her kid came out addicted to methamphetamines, you know, so she lost her kid. It was just a sad story. Like, she had a high schooler, like, basically more responsible than her, which is just hard to see, you know. Our lease came up. I knew I needed to go. You know, I knew I couldn't hang. The place was just pretty gross. Everyone, and then by the end of it, you know, like, the two dudes I lived with were like on a whole nother level of strung out, you know, where I'm doing coke and I'm drinking every single day and I'm taking whatever pills, but they're like slamming coke in their neck and like shooting speed. And it was just a whole nother layer of drugs that I was like, and with that was a whole nother crowd running through the house where I was like, I got to get away from this, you know? Yeah. And that kind of too was like, at the time I was selling drugs, but when you're selling drugs and doing drugs every day, you start to become a pretty shitty drug dealer.
Yeah, your profit goes right real quick.
Your product goes down, you're sketched out on things, you know what I mean? When I was in high school, it was like, bro, I had like 50K rolled up in my sock at all times, no matter what, you know? And it's like, but you're all like, you're on it, you're on the ball. When you start to slip and get caught up partying, it's like, oh wow, I'm blowing it hard, you know? So, but yeah, like right around that time too. I've known my wife since middle school. We went to Dwyer together.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had English class. I was like, oh, this little hot little Hawaiian girl, you know. We used to hook up and stuff like in middle school, and then high school we were just friends. We dated other people, and then we started hanging out again when I moved into that pad. And she was fresh out or getting out of like a long-term relationship. And she'd always come over. It was kind of like party, have conversations, and that started to build more. Like I was like, okay, but she had gone through some pretty heavy trauma, and I was actually somebody that one of the only people she ever opened up to about it. And you know, like it's related to like sexual abuse. So when that happens to you at any age, it's going to be brutal. You know, I mean, for her it was 18. And I don't know if there's an age that's easier or not to deal with that type of trauma happening to you, so. You know? Yeah. So yeah, like she had opened up to me about that, and she, at the same time we were like catching feelings for each other, but then it was like I knew I wasn't ready to be that pillar for her in life. And then knowing what she's gone through, the last thing I wanted to do was be a disappointment, you know? Like I was someone that she trusted and she felt safe with and secure with. So I was trying to I fought off as long as I could, like jumping into the relationship status, because I felt like a responsibility to be what she needed, which at the time for me was like a real friend and not someone who might let her down, you know, in the relationship status. Because I knew I wasn't ready for a relationship. I was like, oh, I'll fuck this. So
you're
fast.
A lot like me. You always had a moral compass.
Yeah.
Even though you weren't following it.
Yeah.
Where sometimes as addicts and alcoholics, we completely lose that. But
yeah,
it sounds like you knew the right thing to do.
Yeah, I felt like I always did, you know? And that's just something that's like some self-awareness, you know? And that's what's, with that being said too, it's like when you do start to get caught up, you feel it and you know it, and yet you're still doing it, which it's depressing. Like you're like, fuck, I know what I need to do, and yet every single day I'm not doing it, you know? And you're really just letting yourself down and like really putting a lot of disrespect next to your own name, you know, because you are aware. You're not so deep, or you're not so out of it to where you're just lost. It's like, man, I'm choosing to be lost, you know? So, and I, you know.
So this is your early 20s when this is going on.
Yeah, 19.
Yeah, 19 okay.
years old.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with all that being said, like I kind of skimmed over the whole childhood thing pretty quick, but I mean, with all that, it was good. There was just a party scene, you know? And those were things that, like, I think that was something that always sat in my mind, because growing up, like, there was the fun in the party scene, and then there was the stuff where you have the resentments too. And like, as a kid, your parents, like, if they're partying, you know, they're being different, you know, you start to smell certain smells,
right?
You know, and all those things, all like, you know, when things are off. Their personality's different. The people they're with, why are they always like that when so-and-so's around, and this, that, and another. So I never wanted to like fully get lost in it, but then it started to happen, you know? We got together, we started dating at 19. Maybe I was 20, or we just turned 20, but she got pregnant like 2 months in to us dating. And that was like, oh shit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. November 10th, 2010. This is the day Andy Irons died. So I was just crazy.
I remember that.
Yeah. I just saw his poster yesterday. I was at the Palm Springs wave pool, and it was like this rad shot of him. And I'm like, man, favorite surfer. I mean, pretty much everybody's favorite surfer in one way or another. And yeah, found out he passed away. And then a couple hours later, my wife's like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, all right. And I was like, oh, well, we're good. Like we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That was obviously a turning point for me. It's a big turning point for anyone. I definitely wanted to at least clean up myself in the sense of like what I'm doing for money. I didn't want to be that guy, so got a real job. It sucked. First job ever. Super humbling. Felt I hated it. Like,
what was that?
I was bar backing downtown. So like going from the guy that used to go to the bar underage and doing whatever the fuck he wanted, and now I'm working there. I'm wiping up my buddy's fucking beer that he spilled. I'm pissed. Like it's an ego check.
Yeah.
But it was needed. I needed that ego check. You get too carried away with who you think you are, and really like we're nothing. So it was a humbling experience to kind of go through that. Immediately after, got an opportunity to get a job on a drilling rig, which I took, and I was like, okay, I knew nothing about like tools and working on heavy equipment at all. I took bong tokes and used fin keys, like I knew how to put my fins in my board and like stuff like that. So that was just a super humbling experience. And I mean,
that's hard work too.
Yeah. What's crazy is structure is so important, man. Structure is so damn important. I had no structure growing up. We had 4 kids in my family. We were just trying to get to school on time half the time. I probably had more tardies than anybody in the entire world. I didn't even have to go to high school. I sweet talked my teachers. I drop off coffees. I was gone. I didn't have to go to class. It was just, like I said, it was really like walk in the park for me. I had it pretty figured out, knew how to talk to who I needed to talk to, and manipulated whatever. People do my homework, whatever, And so like when it came to like, oh, you need to be at the job site at 5 a.m. and it's an hour and a half away, I'm like, whoa, like what is this? Like I need to go to bed early. I need to have food on me. Things like these little simple tasks in life that I've never done, like it sounds silly kind of, but like I need to go to bed at a certain time so I could wake up at a certain time, and I need to prep for my day somewhat, make sure I have work clothes, and make sure I have lunch and food and snacks and waters, and print out the time. It was like printing out, like we didn't have like maps on our phone like we do today, so it was like typing that in and like figuring out where to go. MapQuest, dude. Right? Getting directions, which was huge. Like, and I had just never done any of those things, So it was a huge reality check on like what the real world is, like, okay, like these are responsibilities, but it felt good. Like it was hard and everything else, but I felt like I was actually like accomplishing something, which I felt like I hadn't done in so long, I was so caught up in this fucking black hole of partying, and it was, I didn't even know it at the time, but I was like super depressed, like mental health has such a weird stigma slapped behind it. You could say mental health and people are like, oh yeah, I know what that is. But like, do you really know what it is? Like there's a stigma behind it. If you say mental health, I think people are going to look at you like you have like a serious problem. Like mental health is in everybody. Like when was the last time you checked in on yourself?
Sure.
Like it's not, mental health doesn't always mean like you're suicidal. It could be anything from like confidence or insecurities or what you're going through, whether it's relationships, learning how to set boundaries so you could be happy in certain relationships. I mean, it's this huge, diverse topic, but I feel like it gets kind of labeled as like a very one-dimensional thing.
It does. And it's, I had a psychiatrist that works with us that explained it to me, like, we have physical health, right?
Yeah.
Like you're in way better shape than me, but I work out, but we're all somewhere on the spectrum.
Yep.
And the same thing with our mental health. It's
Yeah.
just most people don't work out for their mental health, which we're all
100%.
programmed to do, and people that have mechanics and rituals and things around their mental health, right?
Yeah.
Are usually a little further ahead.
Yeah.
And, just like physical ailments, some people, have to address major things with their mental health.
100%.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And it comes in seasons, like, man, you could be good. And like, I've always been like someone people would go to. So I would lose sight of checking in on myself. I was usually given advice and always there for people, but I was the last person to ever ask for help or like open up and be vulnerable with my own shit. Because like you said, like when you're a man, like you don't show emotion.
Just tough it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. You and I have a real similar kind of childhood story. Except mine was in the country back in East Texas, but as far as our parents, rarely well-intentioned, alcoholic.
Yeah.
And becoming a parent, like I thought that was all normal until I became a parent. And I'm like, what do you mean you couldn't get me to school on time? What do you mean, like, you didn't pay attention to my homework and I flunked 7th grade? What do you mean, like, Because as a parent now, I'm like, no fucking way my kids are going here and going there, you know? But maybe that's because we know because we went the wrong way.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, I think, like, the more fire you walk through, the more aware you are.
Right.
And dude, you can only do so much for your kids. And I think the hardest part is like letting them walk their own, which I'm like, my daughter's 14, which is pretty scary.
It's a tough age. I got a 15-year-old right now. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like by the time they're that age, it's like, hopefully we did the work already.
Right.
Because,
we still got to pay attention, but you got to let them off the leash a little bit,
Yeah, you got to pay attention, but like that foundational work needs to be set.
Yeah.
Like you need to have those morals kind of like implanted into them of like what's up. And now we're both entering these phases of like dad/friend. I want them to open up to me. I want them to be able to come to me, and like, again, like that's a huge reason why what I feel what a man is so different. If I don't shut off my emotions anymore, I'm open and honest and vulnerable. Why? Like, my kids need to see that.
Right.
If I'm not open and honest and vulnerable with them, how are they going to be that with me?
Right.
I got 2 girls that I love more than anything in this whole world, and at the same time, one day they're going to meet a man. And if he's not vulnerable with them and he's not able to show emotion, like, dude, that's not the right guy for you. Like, we're more than just, fathers. We're supposed to be setting the bar for what a man is and how a man should treat them and everything else. So there's just so much that comes behind that term, what a man is. And it's not just being able to fuck somebody up. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what we grew up. Like,
Right.
that's what I was taught. Like, dude, like the biggest, baddest dude, that's the guy.
The alpha in the room.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
That dude's probably fucking alone and miserable right now.
Yeah.
If he didn't change,
Yeah.
So your perspective, it's all perspective.
Yeah, it really is. So you, at 2 months, you guys start dating.
Yeah,
She
man.
turns up pregnant.
Yeah,
And then,
2 months.
Then tell me, like, did you get married right away? Or?
No, we went on this like super long engagement. I
Okay.
did get her a ring. So she got pregnant. We found this little apartment downtown Huntington Beach off 13th and Walnut. Super cool little spot, 2-bedroom spot. Was working that drilling rig. Then they're like 6 months in, they're like, oh, we're going to be sending you out of town. And, you'll be out there for like 8 months. I'm like, no way, dude. Like, I just had my daughter. I'm not.
Brand new
bailing.
baby.
Yeah,
Okay.
brand new baby. So with that experience, I was able to go. My best friend's family owns pretty much most of the oil wells in Huntington Beach. And they have a crane and trucking side that's partnered with that company. So I went to their old man. My buddy's dad was he was like a father figure to me. I'd always be at his house. Nothing but love for me. Always treated me like his own. Leave me lunch money. Took me to one of my first punk rock concerts in 7th grade. Cracked beers with him in the yard when we were little kids. He'd be like telling his wife we're going to the movies. We'd go fire up semi trucks and fuck off and have fun and drink. And it was just. He was just a really, really good person to me my whole life. And I hit him up, told him my situation, and he was like, well, all right, well, I'll set up a conversation with my dad. And his dad's like, as old school as they come. Like that breed doesn't exist anymore. He started working in the oil fields when he was 7. I mean, just bro, walked with a limp. He fell out of an oil derrick when he was like 18. My guess is he's probably one of the richest dudes in Huntington Beach, and you thought he was fucking broke.
Yeah.
He drove like a 1984 Ford, 2 different color doors, different color tailgate, different color hood. Pipe racks on the side, a fan for AC, no radio. He only wore boots, jeans, and a button-up, and he'd leave it unbuttoned all low, and if it was cold, he'd have a windbreaker. Same outfit every day, same boots. Dude, like, you know, but just, I mean, you find out who he is, and you're like, dude, you own all this real estate. You're pumping however many barrels of oil a day, you know, but he didn't do it for money. It's just who he was. Yeah. You know, he just was a worker, you know, and he was obviously smart and ahead of his time. Like he bought that land off Chevron when oil took a dive way back when. Everyone thought he was nuts. Started buying oil rigs. Like he bought an oil rig off the island, you know, Thumbs Islands in Long Beach. He bought an oil rig off them for $1. Oh, wow. Brand new. Oil was shut down. They were like, dude, tax purposes, we'll give it to you for $1, but you got to haul it off the islands. Well, he owned a crane company and a trucking company. He's like, oh, no worries. You know, so I had a conversation with him. I was scared. Like, dude, the talk of just intimidating. Like, when you're looking someone in the eyes and they just barely talk, and you're like, dude, what is this? I can't get a read on this guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he gave me a shot, hired me. So that was super cool. That was like a street light away from my house. Started off on the oil rigs over there. It was a grind for sure, something new. And then I got like my commercial driver's license and my crane certs. And man, we were doing pretty good in the sense of like making money at a young age. That came with like flaws too, you know. Like,
was the drinking still going on?
Yeah, we were still partying, and like it was more controlled. We had our daughter, so it was like, but it was that same song and dance, man. Like, you know, Friday comes around, Saturday comes around, boom, all nighters, you know. Like my mom watched the kid. You know, she wanted to be grandma anyways, and we just saw that as a green light to go fuck off, you know. And but it's so hard to like not know you're not doing 100%, because everyone in our age bracket, we're 21, so everyone that we're around is just pretty much allowed to go party now, and we wanted to do the same, you know. But we took a different road. It was just hard to see that in the time, you know. So ended up having another kid at 25. So my daughters are 4 years apart. Okay. Exactly. Same birthday.
Oh, wow. They're born on the same day.
Same day, 4 years apart, you know. As soon as, it was pretty crazy. Like, we were having our second daughter. I was crushing at work. I was on this job at that Gerald Desmond Bridge. They tore down, they rebuilt it. I was on that job for like a couple years working 7/12s. So I worked 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Money was there. And then the John Thomas, he passed away, the old man. He had everything lined up, kind of. I think he thought he had everything lined up for his family to continue moving forward. Family went to war. Company stopped. Oh, so everyone's pretty much left with no job. And a lot of the guys went union. I went to another crane company first that was non-union, and started doing that, and it was like I was getting burned. So went to work for my father-in-law for a little bit. He needed help on the trucking side of his company, so I was like, all right, I'll fill in that role for now, see what direction I want to go. Just had our second kid, so for like that super steady high income to get shut off again, like that hurt. Ego was hurt, you know. And man, I started to get fucking a little sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was really having this like point in my life of like, who do I want to be? What do I want to do? I couldn't answer those questions, you know. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I definitely wasn't satisfied with who I was. I was super grateful to have the kids that I had, and they were healthy and beautiful, but like I was missing something, you know, like, and I just knew I wasn't reaching any type of potential that I had within me. And it kind of all came to a head for me. Conor McGregor fought Eddie Alvarez. I just went all night, you know. I went super hard that night. We had an opportunity where the kids were out of the house, and all the same old shit, you know, bottle of Jack, another bottle of Jack, couple bags of blow, and then like you run out. What else do you have? You're searching in the house, find some Addies, chop those up, trying to do whatever we could to keep the party going, you know. And I was sick for like a week, and I'm like fucking looking in the mirror, just like, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You know, like your kids want to hang out, and I just tired and hungover, and I didn't want to do nothing, and I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired of myself. I just stopped.
There's nothing worse than that guilt of being so hungover. I mean, I can remember with my oldest, of just being so hungover. I can't get out of bed. And he wants to play, and he's, you know.
Yeah, they're smiling. They don't get it. They're looking at you.
And you look in the mirror, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you know?
you motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know.
So
like,
was that 2016 when you got sober?
Yeah. Okay. And dude, honestly, I didn't even have any intentions of staying sober. I just knew in that moment I needed to be sober. And man, like, God started coming into my life pretty quick, you know.
So tell me about that. You just stopped on your own, no meetings, didn't go to church, it just happened.
I started going to church.
Okay.
Really lucky. One of my training partners at the time, Chris Jones, old school punk rocker, been through it all, you know, prison, you know, like making meth, got busted, found God, got sober, went to all this stuff. And it was cool because it was like, we would train, and he would always drop the term God on me, you know, and he'd give me a little bit, and it was like, he was so proud of, and like unashamed and unembarrassed to talk about God like publicly, where I believed in God, but I was a little embarrassed by it.
Right.
Like I didn't like want to talk about him out loud in public. And I think a lot of that stemmed from like the feelings I felt when my dad used to preach when he was drunk. You know, from being a little kid, and then like if I had buddies over and whatever bender he's on, like he'd corner you and you know, and like, so I used to just be embarrassed by it, you know, and it was a total personal thing. And to kind of be around someone else that kind of looked the way, like, and dressed, style, everything, you know, we like same haircut and tattoos and punk rock, and he was just open and on fire, like, all the time. And he started dragging me into his church more and more and more. And that was when I had gotten sober, like right then, you know. So he was at his place in Westminster, recovery-based church, Christian church. I was the only one in my family that wasn't baptized yet. And he brought it up to me one day, like, dude, I'm doing the baptisms, and, you know, if you're interested. I was like, you know what, I am. I want to, like, lean into it more, you know. So got baptized, and at the time, like I was telling you, I was super lost on what I wanted to do with my life. I had put my name on the list to get into Local 12, Operator Engineers Union, and man, like right after I got baptized, boom, got the phone call. I'm like, oh shit, like things are falling into place, you know. So it felt really good to have that career lined up, steady work, union, great pay. And life seemed to be going kind of in a good direction. And then I got a little comfortable, a little complacent, you know. Work is stressful. Me and my wife now, we're getting a little bit older, and we're growing, but we're not growing together at all. You know, she said she was sober. I knew there was some stuff going on for sure, you know, but I'm putting in these hours at work. I'm providing the paycheck. And like, I felt like that's what a man was again. That was what I thought a man was. The provider. And that's it. Like, I don't want to deal with your shit. Like, dude, I've been at work all day for 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 hours. Like, I don't want to hear it. You know, like, I'm doing this. I'm doing this for you. I put this roof over your head, and like, no emotional connection. Like, she needed my attention, you know, and I thought my attention was the paycheck, you know. And it's a pretty easy thing to get. I think a lot of us as men get lost in that. We think that's enough, you know, like we do this, and that. But sometimes the things that are free are what are the most important. You know, the little check-in on her, the little bit of love, the little bit of attention. How was your day? Dude, just shutting up and listening when they need someone to talk to.
And thinking about, you know, I'm a girl dad too. I've got a 6-year-old. I've had a kid every decade. I've got 28, 15, and 6. But my last one's a girl. And God, I don't want some guy like that.
No.
You know, but kind of is how I'd look at things.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like, I want somebody that's going to check in on my daughter, like you said, and pay attention to her and care.
Yeah. Love her.
Be empathetic. And yeah. Okay. So that started getting a little rough. And So
like we were growing apart, at the time. I was really lucky. Like when I found out I was having my daughter, like I was always athletic growing up. I played every sport in the world. Fell in love with surfing, like pretty much 4th, 5th grade, surfed my brains out throughout middle school, quit every sport, just surfed. It was just the lifestyle. It was the culture that I loved. I loved everything about it, the freedom, you could express yourself however you want. And when obviously like partying took that away from me a little bit. And then I like immediately after that became like a father. So surfing just wasn't really available. So what did I do? I had the gym. I dove into like that. I needed something, and I knew like I needed an outlet. So even when I partied, even when we were partying, I wasn't as on point as I am today by any means, but I still always used that outlet. I still would go to the gym and beat myself up. I brought those challenges upon myself. I needed something for me, outside of work and outside of being a dad or a husband. So, excuse me. So yeah, like I think around that time, just got sober, got baptized. Work's going pretty good, but like my wife's not interested in like working out or eating a certain way. And our hobbies and our like what we enjoy doing, we're not enjoying anything together. Kind of started to become more of like roommates than anything. I thought that was super normal. Like everyone I talked to at work,
happens in a lot
their
of
marriages all suck.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is it. This is what
Groundhog's
life is.
Day.
Yeah. Like love is not a thing really. You lust or whatever and you start a family and it is what it is. And that's just what I thought it was. I mean, but I knew there was something a little different. My parents always loved each other forever, It didn't matter how fucked up my dad was, man. My mom to him is royalty no matter what. And for her to ride out the times that she did with him, you have to love the shit out of someone to put up with what she's put up with. She's dealt with every knucklehead everything. She's everybody's mom. All the boys, then all my dad's boys, all my boys. And man, it was like I jammed my wife up a little bit. Like, okay, what's going? I knew something was up. And she's Hawaiian and Irish, bro. She's like as stubborn as they come. Like
both warrior cultures for sure. Yeah,
she is strong, dude. And so the few times that I would kind of talk to her about like kind of what's going on, what's up, she was kind of putting it off. And then you know what? I broke my arm, shattered my arm in a mosh pit, TSOL concert.
There you go,
yeah.
Jack singing.
Yeah, and. Dude, it was bad. Like, it's just a really bad break. Like, nothing crazy. Small pit. Someone fell in front of me, dude. I tried to jump over him. Landed stiff arm like you would 1,000 times skateboarding. It just, the right time at the right place and the right spot, my arm just shattered. And so I had, like, some time off work. And that time off work, I started to see a lot more of my wife where I was home. So I knew something was definitely up. Something was off, just highs and lows, bro. Like all kinds of energy and then just shut off, Oh, I'm sick or this or that. I'm like, bro, the same song and dance. What's up? And one day we were actually like getting to a point where we knew we needed help if our marriage was going to make it. And we started going to therapy through the church. And she was like, hey, I can't go today. Like something, I don't feel good. I'm like, bro, there's always an excuse, dude. What's up? Why aren't you going? And she's like, can we meet up and talk before? I was like, yeah. And she was like, hey, I need help. She finally she surrendered, dude. Totally surrendered 100%. Was like, I need to go to treatment. And I was like, okay. And she told me our situation. I had been jamming her up on questions. There's certain money things that I knew. I'm like, bro, where's this at? Where's the savings at? Like,
Didn't add up,
yeah, none of these things were adding up. she just dropped all these truth bombs on me, you know, and it was like, okay. And I knew it, man. And it was one of those things where I play such a role in her story too, because I knew it was all there. I was just putting Band-Aids on bullet wounds for so long because I wanted to avoid the confrontation. I knew where the conversation was going to go if I kept pressing, and I wasn't ready to deal with it.
Yeah.
I was so focused on like the day in front of me that anyone else's problems I didn't have time for, which is my wife, which is my part of me, you know, like you get married to become one, God says, you know, and we weren't treating each other like that at all. And, yeah, it was, just everything imploded, you know? So she went to treatment. My finances were shot. I was so fucking scared, you know, I'm with 2 little girls and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's crazy because someone asked me one time, like, what was the lowest point in your life? It's like, my lowest point was my wife's lowest point. You know, that's something I feel like that's like our job. Like, that's our duty. Like, I feel like you put your wife, you put your baby girls in front of you no matter what. And to know one of them was struggling that hard and I didn't do anything to help at the time, and I wasn't there as much as I should have been, and the conversations I could have had, should I have pressed more, it hurt. It hurt to know like what I didn't do, you know. I look at everything in life like, if you're going to do it 100%, do it right, do it with everything that you have. And I wasn't doing that on my own home front.
Yeah.
You know, which it was a big reality check, and it literally hurt my heart, you know. And I was everything from angry to sad to pissed, confused, lost. Like, whoa, I don't know what tomorrow looks like, and that's a pretty scary thing when you got 2 kids. Yeah. You know, so
you were having to work and
yeah,
manage the kids at the same time while she was in treatment.
Yeah. Some family stepped up and helped, and some really my best friends, you know, and that I couldn't have done it without them. My mom was there. The kids definitely, besides mom like not being there every day, like their lives were very unaffected, which means everything to me. You know, they were surrounded by love. They were surrounded by family. Put them in it was summertime, put them in junior guards. They were super busy, you know, like keep them busy. And at the time I was really lucky, dude. Like, I just think God provides. Like, work was crazy and I needed fucking money. You know what I mean? Yeah. I needed to rebuild fast. I needed to restart, rebuild. And I did, you know. I was cranking hours, like 100-hour work weeks. And then I landed this one gig. I was working 7 15-hour days, you know. So boom, like paid back money that was owed to certain people, paid off the credit cards, paid off everything. And now I'm stacking chips again. And I'm back in the game, and I'm like, okay. And she got out of treatment, and dude, you know, for the first time I think ever in my life, I opened up to people. I was so closed off, you know. Like I said, I was always there for everybody, but I never brought up my stuff. I just felt like that was a weakness, which is so weird because I never judged anyone for ever opening up to me. Yeah. But I judged myself. You know, it's the weirdest thing, you know. And so now everybody knew what was going on with me. They knew what I had been through, what she's been through, where her mistakes brought us, where my mistakes brought us, and it's like, this marriage needs to end type of thing. That's what most people are saying, you know. And my buddy, again, Chris, I had a few others too, but he's like, what are you going to do in your marriage? I'm like, bro, I'm done. I need to move on, you know. I'm planning this like in my head while she's in treatment. And he was like, dude, you know what? I love you, bro. I'm going to support you no matter what. But I want you to know, like, she's doing the work right now for the first time, and if you walk away, you might be walking away from the best version of her, and that's something you're gonna have to live with. And I was like, whoa, yeah, no one's being real with me like this. No one's having these conversations with me. No one's everyone's kind of like, either you got the boys that want to pull you in with them because you kind of could be single again and you could go like be their fucking wingman again. And then you got people that are obviously hurt because you were hurt, so they're just being protective of you. And for him to say that, it just opened my eyes to like a lot. And she was doing the work, and I saw her start to find herself again. I saw that light come back into her eyes, and I saw her doing the work, and I saw the changes. And you know what? When she got out, I got her own apartment, and we started to hang out. And it was like, you know, we never really tried, and part of it was being young and dumb and not knowing what to do. Like, we didn't have like a rule book on what to follow on how to succeed in marriage, you know, but I knew there was something there, and I wanted to do it, and I wanted to do it this time at 100% and sober and with God in the center. You know, like, let's give this a real shot. Like, we made vows under God. Let's put him back. Let's put him back right in the center of our lives, and let's do it sober and clear-minded and see what we could do. And man, we just never looked back.
Nice.
Yeah, like, it was crazy. I remember she got out of treatment, and we'd been together for a little bit, and bro, we just were happy. You know, like, didn't need anybody in the world.
Yeah.
It was just her and I against everyone and anyone. And we're in bed one night, and we're just like laughing. Like, I don't remember what it was, but we're just laughing, and I looked at her, and I'm like, holy shit, we figured it out. She's all, what? I'm like, we're happy.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we didn't have the savings account. We didn't have everything in life figured out. And I figured out, like, who the fuck has life figured out?
Yeah, none of us have all the stuff figured out. That's for damn sure. Yeah.
You know, like, what's success to you? You know, like, $100 million, what the fuck does that mean if you're not happy? And I kind of realized at that point I had everything I needed.
Yeah.
I had my girls, I had my wife back. I was happy. I didn't need validation from anybody anymore. And you know what? I got my happiness by staying true to me and what I wanted. For most of my life, I wanted to please people. I wanted validation from people. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to prove a point. I wanted to be the fucking man. None of that's going to mean anything if you're not happy with who you are and what you have. And I think that's like what success is, you know, like, success is going to look different for everybody, but if happiness isn't tied to that, I don't think you're successful, you know? And to me, that was day one of us writing our own story together. You know, it was literally page 1, chapter 1. And I'm like, all right, this is our time. And it was so cool. Like, what followed that too was so many people, when they saw us working on things, all of a sudden, like, we went from kind of being like the broken couple to like people coming to us for marriage advice and then sobriety, you know, like, it was the craziest thing. And God has played a hand in everything that's ever happened in my life, you know. From the day that I got sober, I think I was 2 to 3 months into my sobriety. My very best friend in the world, who was one of the guys that I lived with, had called me, and he was struggling, and we started to see each other. Like, if he wasn't coming around, I knew what he was doing. And he had hit me up, and I hadn't talked to him in a little bit, which was weird for us, so I knew he was doing bad, and I had seen him here and there, and he's like, what do you got going on? I'm like, I'm at work, and I'm actually sober. He was like, no way. I'm like, yeah. He told me this like 7 years later, but he was in the garage, and his mom was trying to get him to go to treatment, and he didn't want to go, obviously. And our conversation played a role with him getting sober.
Yeah, he's like, if Jimmy can do it, I might as well do it, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And to even know that, like, I could play any role in someone that I love that much to make the decision to go to treatment and get right is a gift. You know, and to come back full circle, the one guy that I was telling you about in the oil fields that I looked at as a father, he was a second father to me. Shortly after, we lost him to suicide. So that one fucking hurt. And I was about 6 months into my sobriety, and met up with the boys, and they handed me a beer, you know. And I was like, all right, like, it's what we did with, you know, that's what we always did with him. It was kind of part of our relationship. And I get this beer, and I'm like holding it, and they're like, you're not going to drink for John? And I felt like it was almost like, oh, fuck, am I like disrespecting him by like not, you know? And out comes my boy David, dude, freshly sober, going, what the fuck? Why are you guys handing him that? You know, like, and it was just like that. I was ready to cave, dude. You know, it was like, oh, just be this once.
So small moments in time that can make a huge
dude,
difference in our future.
Holding the drink, staring at it, and he just comes running up out of nowhere, you know, and we've always had each other's backs from day one. That's been our relationship, you know. And that was a huge moment in my life, and for him to show up for me when I needed him, and I've always tried to show up when he's needed me. And then, you know, my wife got sober. He played a massive role in helping out, you know, him and his wife. And then my wife got sober, and it was like we said, we started to become like people were leaning on us. And my dad hit me up. My dad wanted to get sober for the first time. Wow. I was 30 years old. And he's, like I said, he struggled his whole life, and he was not looking good. You know, he was 50 pounds overweight, maybe a little bit more. His eyes were pretty yellow, you know. He drank, and then, you know, he's got issues with his back and everything else. So, like, if you're drinking every day and Vicodins and all these things, it just starts to take a toll. He looked old, and you know what? It was COVID at the time. I think it was like around COVID. Where we were living had these amenities, and they were cool to live there. Well, they shut everything the fuck down. Some drug dealer moved in across the hall from me at the apartment, and I was like, I got to get out. This place is like, I can't do this. My parents were like, man, come stay with us for a little bit till like things get a little better, you know? And I was like, all right. And that was huge too, because we had just went through all of our stuff in our marriage, and for them to like be willing to be like, you know what, rebuild a little bit, you could stack, be with you. And so I stayed with them for a little bit, and my pops was seeing me sober and surfing, and he was like super interested in getting sober. I bought him a surfboard, and we paddled out one day. Waves fucking sucked. We had the best time ever. Yeah. Me and him. You know, I haven't hung out with him like that, and couldn't even tell you, you know, 25 years or something, just him and I. And man, he never went back.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
So when did the whole, like, so you're basically a union, blue collar, get after it. Yeah. Long hours. Yeah. And I was watching some of your stuff before. When did the switch happen to what you're doing now? How did that happen?
Yeah, you know, it was kind of cool, man. Like, when my wife was coming up on her 1 year sobriety, we went out to Havasu. My buddy David had a pad out there, and he had gotten a boat, and I got in the water. I'm surfing behind the boat. I'm like, what have I been doing? Like, it was the first, so like Lake Havasu for me was always tied into like partying. You know, I just go there, black the fuck out, party. And I was there, and I was sober, and my wife's a year into her sobriety. I'm about 3 years into mine. And man, I was just so happy. And like, my kids are like, dude, it's all of it. And my David and his wife are sober as well. And we're just all like living life. I think it was like COVID too. So the world was shut down, and we're just like loving life. And I'm in the water, and it just opened my eyes to like I said, and kind of in the beginning of this, I wanted to get back to who I used to be, but that's never what it was about, you know. And I'm like surfing and all these things that I enjoy doing. I'm surfing behind the boat going, man, like I need to get back in the water. So I started to chase who I used to be, not knowing I was really chasing like the man that I can become and who I was becoming unintentionally, you know. So come back home, I start surfing every day. I'm buying surfboards. I'm like seeing people that I used to see, but everything was at a whole different perspective, you know. Like, everything I wanted to do was because it was a part of me. It was what I loved to do. I didn't need all the other stuff associated with that part of Huntington and surfing, all these things. I didn't need any of the drugs. I didn't need any of the partying, dude. I loved doing it because that was part of me, you know. And all those crutches, all those vices, once you remove them, man, you find out it's just the passion. It's like the love that you have for it, you know. Like, getting in the ocean, whether the waves sucked or not, sun and salt water on your face, and like, it's so like cleansing, man. And it felt so good. And started diving into that, really locked in on my nutrition at this point, locked into my workouts even more. Like, my wife's sober now. We're like doing it together, which was huge. You know, we're like every part of our growth, we're growing together, you know, and it's okay. Like, I think a lot of people, when you go through relationships, it's someone's going to grow more than someone else. And that's okay, you know, but just don't ever get so far ahead where you don't stop and carry the one that you love with you, you know? And I think that's where I was so misunderstood in the beginning. I wanted to do certain things. I wanted to grow. I wanted to be successful, but like, I wasn't carrying my wife with me, you know, and that was a huge mistake. And like, now we're doing it together. Now we're going to the gym together. Now we're food prepping together. Now we're doing all these things and like that are healthy and good for us, but it like made our connection stronger too. Now we're sharing passions. Now we like, you know, you get to these points in your relationship, you're like sitting at dinner, you don't know what to talk to your wife about. You know, it's like pretty scary. Like that's a hard, you're in a hard spot, man, if you don't know what to say to each other. And we just, like I said, like ever since that day we were laughing. It's like, man, it was just, she's my best friend. And union's going pretty good. Like we're grinding, right? Like everything's on track. I tore my shoulder pretty bad. I think it was torn already, and then like I tore it on some big north swell, and it just like annihilated, and had surgery. And I'm like spending time with my wife and my kids, and I never got to do that, you know. And I'm seeing what I miss, and I'm like, this isn't for me. Like, this job's not for me. Right. Dude, I hate to ever sound ungrateful for that job, because that job gave me a lot. It gave me like so much structure. Some of my best friends, some of the people that I look up to, it implemented so much structure into my life, like real shit responsibility, you know, how to carry yourself, how to look out for others. And I just knew it wasn't my purpose, you know, like along with success, like I think one of the biggest things as for a man, it's like, what's your purpose? If you don't have purpose, you're lost.
Right.
You're going down a road that you don't know what the destination is. And if you don't know what your destination is, like, you're going to make every fucking wrong turn on the way. Like you said, like MapQuest, right? Sure. What do you do these days when you don't know where you're going? You type in the destination on your phone so you could get there at the fastest time possible. Well, life is no different than that, bro. Like, you need to know, you might not know exactly where you're going, but you need to know what direction you want to go to, or you're just going to make all these wrong turns, which comes with wasting a bunch of time, which you start to find out you don't have a lot of. Life is fast. It goes fucking quick, you know? So, man, I'm like trying to think, like, what should I do? And me and all the boys would talk. Like, we spend a lot of time on the road at work, bro. Like, we'd be driving, in one day, you could drive to Corona, to Ocotillo Wells, to Oakland, one day. Like, 24 hours just running and gunning, you know? So what do? Buddy system, bro. Pop in a headphone, you listen to a podcast. You already burned through that 2.5 hour podcast. Call one of the boys you know is on the road too. You know, so we would just talk, and it's like, bro, this sucks. Right. You know, like, what are we gonna do, boys? Let's think of a game plan. Like, where could we go? What could we do? And people would like hit me up, like, why don't you do fitness, dude? Like, you're so good at it. You already like, I train with everyone at work. I would train people at work. I've trained everyone I've ever. Growing up, like, I've just always been good at it. I've always been good at like the plan and the structure, and just really just, it's been something that I've always loved, but I didn't think I could turn that into a business, you know, especially like now I'm like with social media and all these things, I'm like, I missed the mark on that. Like, I had an Instagram, but I didn't follow people, and people didn't. I just used it to follow UFC and the WSL, to follow surfing. You know, and that was it. That was all I used Instagram for. So like, I just figured like, well, and I'm not a bodybuilder, dude. I'm not this and that. And it's funny because of the things that I thought were my weaknesses were actually my strengths. You know, like if it took being a bodybuilder to be successful as a coach, then every bodybuilder would be successful, and they're not. You know, they don't have, well, one, I think most people can't relate to that.
No, you're a normal guy doing this. Look,
exactly.
Doing that.
You know,
so it's like less threatening to get information from you.
And it didn't happen overnight. Like, I would literally train, go to work, no matter what. Like I had a regiment where I'd go in the sauna, and it was just something I would do. I would stretch, pray, and manifest, dude, what I wanted for my life. And more and more and more of it just slowly started to dictate, like, this is something that I could do and what I want to do. And I had like a little doubts and hesitations on it. And my wife stepped up and was like, you should do it. Originally I wanted her to do it because she fell into like spin. That was huge for her. Like in her recovery, she just fell in love with it. And along that came some like really cool other females. Like that community is rad. She needed community outside of me. It was always like me, you know, and as a woman and as a mother, just like as a father, like you need good people in your life. You need outside relationships. You need to have that personal identity again that it's like very easy to get lost in, you know, as you become a parent and everything else. So originally I wanted her to do it because like I was cranking at work. I was doing the best I've ever done, you know, and I was like, all right, I'll post some stuff, which was pretty weird, you know, like, dude, I'm from Huntington and I surf. Like, you don't fucking show off.
Yeah.
You're a kook.
Right.
You know, like the boys are going to give me shit for sure.
Yeah.
Like I already knew, like I'm going to hear it from everybody. Like I'm posting a workout video with my shirt off on Instagram. I'm like, oh, here we go, dude. Let's hear it. You know? And people did, they had their opinions, but I was so comfortable and confident with where I was in my life. I didn't give a shit. I didn't need validation from nobody. You say what you want to say, dude. I care less. This is for me and my life and my family, you know? And I started posting a little bit in like, it was like November 2023. So haven't even started coaching yet. Just started dibbling and dabbling and posting some stuff. And I had a vacation check coming to me in December. So like in the union, you get an anniversary check from the month that you started with that company. If you stay with them, they pay you for a week, like a week's worth of pay. So you could take a week off. And it was perfect for me because that came in December, which was Christmas. So I'm like, oh, it's always a bad work week anyways. You got Christmas, New Year's. So I'm like, I'm going to take a week off of work. And then I got sick. I think I got COVID or something. I probably had COVID like 30 times. I don't even know, whatever, dude. So I had 2 weeks off of work. And I just started to like really think about like, let's, you know, I was able to edit some videos and mess around on the business side. And I actually got it to where I could sell a program. I wasn't doing that yet. And bro, like right away I was getting clientele. And my wife's like, dude, you need to quit your fucking job. I'm like, babe, I just made like 300 grand last year.
Yeah.
Like, you want me to quit my job to be a coach that I've only made probably like $1,400 or whatever it was. It was nothing, you know? And, dude, luckily I had some people in my life too that were telling me the same thing. Like one of my buddies at work's like, dude, you're not coming back. Like,
you saw your stuff and said,
he's all
go
do
this.
And like, these are people that just knew, like, they're like, bro, everyone gravitates towards you, and everyone like, you got this thing, like, you need to do it. You're super knowledgeable in it, and like, you're good at what you do, so just do it. And yeah, you know, like I just kind of knew. I'm like, okay, so quit. And that was in January.
January of what?
2024.
Oh, okay.
Like,
so
I was like a month in.
So you're a little over a year into this, and
no, I was like 2 months in, like a
2
month
months into when you did it.
Yeah. So like New Year's Eve hit. So I got the coaching business plan laid out in December, and I quit in January.
Nice.
It was pretty gnarly. I was pretty scared.
Nice.
But it was cool. Like, it was one of those things where I was praying. I remember sitting in the sauna one night when I decided I was going to actually do it. Sitting in the sauna, I'm talking to God. It was just like, it's always my thing, like sit in the sauna, like get real with myself, you know, like manifest where I want to be. And I would talk to God a little bit. And I just remember feeling sick. And I knew it wasn't, I knew that was growth. I knew growth was coming, you know, and as uncomfortable I felt, I knew it was absolutely necessary to lean into it.
You said that earlier. That's such a huge point, is being uncomfortable is okay.
Yeah.
And going through that
Yeah.
stuff's okay sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
And all the things before me of
Yeah.
like getting uncomfortable. Like I remember having a pit in the feeling in my stomach when stuff was going on in my marriage, and it was like I ran away from it. And you're gonna come across situations in life where it's like sink or swim. Well, I fucking know I could swim, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running on water at that point, you know, like every time the world's stacked up against me, like, dude, failure's not an option.
Right.
It's not. You're a dad. You're a husband. Like, you don't fail. And then people are so scared of failure, but failure is only when you quit. Like, you're never going to fail unless you quit. You might need a pivot. Doors are going to close on you, and anything and everything you ever do in life. Get used to it. You just got to pivot, or you got to break the fucking door down.
That's it.
You know, sometimes those doors close for a reason because God's going to open up another one.
That's
So you just got to keep grinding, stay true to who you are and what you want in life. And in my opinion, if you keep God in the center of it, if that door closed, it was meant to, and another one's going to open up.
Yeah.
You know, and we went all in. You know, we just started doing it together. My wife became like, she started filming me, so we were just like a team. And she believed in me, and it was just like, okay, let's get this going. And man, like before I knew it, like everything was just moving. And I'm like, okay, like where does this go? You know, like where do we go? Where do we go from here? And a big part of it was I started to like, I was really lucky from day one. Like I just attracted the right people. And I think a big part of that was I've always tried to be super open and honest on social media, like to who I am. I'm not trying to fake it. I'm not trying to be anybody I'm not. I think that the world is lacking so much authenticity. It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, like there's 365 days in the year, dude. If you're going to pretend to be someone else, eventually people are going to see through your shit. You know, like you can't be someone who you're not. So stop. And I didn't care. Like I think with that, and especially in what I do, like you got to be confident in who you are, and you got to know who you are. And I was really lucky that I didn't start trying to coach because it was something that I was interested in years ago, but I was by no means mature enough or even in a position in life to do it. You know, I had some things I had to handle. I had some growing up to do. My marriage as well, like my marriage, like matured to a point where social media could bring some like drama into your life if you were to allow it to. You know, if you get caught up in stupid things, you know, and attention and everything else. Like I wasn't seeking attention. The only attention I wanted was from the 3 girls that I live with, and I got that. You know, I'm happy with who I am. I don't need it from anyone else. I just wanted to help make some change. And I started to grow these really cool relationships with some super cool clients, man, like good dudes. And there was like this brotherhood going on pretty solid. And I knew the fitness thing could be a lot more than fitness. I knew, I'm like, I think we could build a real family. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, you know? And numbers started to grow, everything else. And then I almost lost a couple guys to suicide, like all in the same month, which happened to be like Men's Mental Health Month. Like it was last June. My whole perspective changed again, you know? I started talking to God, like, man, how could I be of service? Like, what can I do? It's funny, man. Like, you start asking God the right questions, and he's listening, and he starts answering, you know? And he just does it in ways that you might not always see. But I set up consultation calls. So I started having these conversations every day with these other men on the other line, telling me their deepest, darkest stuff, just opening up, giving me their testimony. They don't even know me, you know, and a lot of them are dealing with multiple things. One of the guys that I almost lost had just lost his daughter. So heavy. And then a guy that I talked to on the phone, same thing, to just lost his, and to a drowning, just like my parents. And I cried on the phone with him, and he cried. And we've never met each other, you know, but I knew his pain, and he knew I knew it too. Because I told them about my mom and my pops, and like it was just like it was so rad to have these types of connections and conversations and have these true feelings come out of people you don't know, but we're being of service to each other, you know, like them opening up some of their wounds helped me heal mine, and vice versa. And I almost lost another guy that was a firefighter, and then one of the guys that had just signed up with me went ghost. I'm like, bro, where are you at? You just signed, like, not talking. And he hit me up and he goes, hey, bro, like, I've been struggling with depression my entire life. It runs through my family. I've lost multiple people to suicide. And I'm sitting there telling him he's not alone. And I'm having all these conversations. I know he's not alone. I'm talking to people every single day. Some of them had a gun in their mouth. Some of them just are struggling and thinking of what they can do. You know, when someone tells you he's like trying to figure out a way to do it where his wife gets his pension and it's been 10 years, it's heavy, you know, and these are like, some of them are veterans, some of them are first responders, some of them are cops, some of them are just like you and I, business owners or blue collar, whatever it may be. I'm like, bro, we're all the same. Yeah. You know, pain is pain, struggle is struggle. It might be painted a different color, but at the end of the day, bro, like we're not alone, and everyone thinks they are. Yeah. And that was when I made the big transition of going from like coach and client to coach and team. And when I was talking to God and I had all these conversations and he's bringing these people into my lap that are dealing with all these similarities, I go, you know what, I need to start doing like a meeting every week, and I'm going to give my testimony and my wife's going to give hers, and we're going to lay it all out there. And that's what we did. We just fully surrendered, you know, and we just, boom, this is who we are. The good, the bad,
so you guys have a team meeting every week?
Yeah, I do it twice a week now, but Thursday nights are just strictly testimony based. Awesome. So, man, and we laid it all out there, everything from addiction to sexual abuse, from marriage struggles, financial issues, whatever it may be. And by being like the coach and opening up and surrendering and being real, it gave everyone else permission to be open and honest and real.
That's beautiful.
You know, and it opened that door. And it's one of those things where most people have never told their testimony out loud. And when they get into it, just like doing a podcast, you start remembering things that you didn't even know you would talk about on the podcast. I remember my first podcast, I started to choke up and almost cry. I'm like, I'm 2 minutes in and this is happening right now. You know what I mean? Like, why is this happening? It brought back these raw emotions, you know? And it's one of those things that's so good, I think, for someone to dive into and give their testimony. One, it gets this weight off of their shoulders and allows them to grow. You know, like I said, you stop looking back and trying to become who you used to be, and you let that go and you start aiming towards who you can become, what you are capable of now. And then within that, when you build a family around it, it's like you're being of service to all these other people by just being honest with who you are. You're giving all of them permission to be real. You're letting all of them know they're not alone. You know, anything from, I've had people on my team, man, open up. Like one of the guys, I absolutely love him so much, man. He's such a strong freaking human. He is like of service to everybody on my team. Dude, he preaches the word. He will show up for you. But he went through sexual abuse when he was younger. And the first time he ever told anybody was on my call with 60 people on it.
Oh, wow.
And that's hard, you know?
How does somebody get on your team? What does that look like?
For the most part, like it's all marketed through social media. So like I have a website, like a link on like my homepage where you click on the link, you're gonna see some stuff and check it out. And then I just started doing some other things. Like before, you had to schedule a one-on-one conversation with me. Which I always enjoyed doing because you just have some rad conversations and you get to know who they are and what their goals are and aspirations and everything else. And but then I also set some stuff up now where I even do like subscriptions that are I offer those like at a lower ticket to help people get in, because some of like I do 2 subscription models. One's like just workouts and meal plans, and then I do one that has like workouts, meal plans, but then all the community aspect behind it too. So you're hopping in on those 2 Zoom calls a week. There's multiple group chats in my app, like for networking. I want everybody on the team. Dude, if you do roofing, you should be getting your roof done by someone on the team. You know, or now people are putting all their information, like what state they live in, what they do for a living, all these things. So networking's right. I got people that they all link up with each other.
Oh, that's cool.
We got all the NorCal boys like link up, or if you're traveling into Idaho or Texas or Florida, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go check on him and visit him while I'm out here. And that's what everybody does, you know. So the networking side of it's rad. And that's there's also like a group chat in that app. So like Pete, just the little daily wins, man. Like you stop making excuses. It's hard to make excuses when you see other people doing the work. I think community is such a strong part of like growing your own journey, man. Because it comes down to like, if you ever look at your life and like where you're at in life, who is involved, who like were you involved with at that time, in the good times and the bad times. You start surrounding yourself with people that are pushing themselves to just be better every day, and you're just surrounded by that. It's just, you're going to start doing better.
Yeah.
And leaders build leaders, you know, they just do. And when you're surrounded by a bunch of people that are leaders and when they care about you, you can't fall.
Yeah.
They're going to catch you.
Nice.
You know, we had one guy that's been sober for a couple years. He lives out in Vegas, and he went like ghost on one of the group chat things. I had people hitting me up like, hey man, what's his can you give me his address? I want to send people over there to do a housekeeping call. I'm like, what's up? They're like, dude, he hasn't responded, this and that. So I called him. He answered my call. He wasn't answering anyone's call. I go, bro, what's up? And he goes, dude, I'm all right. He goes, I'm in a meeting. Let me call you back. I go, okay, well, that's a good sign, you know, like right away, at least he's in a meeting. He lost his sponsor, the guy that got him into treatment to suicide.
Oh man.
And it just fucking rocked him. And he needed some time to like figure his shit out. And he was kind of struggling like, man, this guy helped get me sober if he couldn't do it. And he was, you know, he was feeling all the feelings.
Yeah.
But I just let him know, like, bro, like this, when you are going through this stuff, this is when you should be leaning on us the most. You have a family here. You know, like you got people that fucking love you, dude. My phone's going off and everyone's asking where you're at.
Yeah.
And it was really cool for him to know, like, wow, you know, this is bigger than what I thought it was. And that's been the biggest blessing, man, of everything I've really got with the fitness thing, because anyone could get in shape. It just takes consistency. There's no real talent behind getting in shape. It just, you got to be consistent, you know. So people could do it. Everyone could do it. It doesn't matter what body type you are. It doesn't matter. It might take one person longer than the next, but you could get there. You know, you got to give yourself a little grace. You got to allow some time to take place. We all want this instant gratification, right? Like, that's why we did drugs. That's why you drink. It's instant gratification. You get off work, crack open the beer. You know, Amazon. You just buy something. It's at your door the next day. Our kids don't even know what commercials are. You know, like everything in this world is designed off instant gratification, but everything great in life comes with delayed gratification.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's getting in shape, whether it's your relationship in your marriage, whether it's your relationship with God, it doesn't matter. That takes time. You don't just decide it and you get it. It's not how it works. But that's why you value it so much, because you put in all that time to get to that point, you know? So, where was I going with that? Like the whole deal. Like, I want to get people in shape, but I lean so much more on the Zoom calls, especially into like mental health and personal development, because if you get right with yourself and you learn how to love yourself and you gain that self accountability and that self respect, dude, you're going to get in shape.
Yeah.
It becomes a byproduct of that.
Yeah.
You know, the people that just get in shape, they throw themselves in this crazy diet, they work out. Okay, it might last 3 months or 6 months, and guess what? It ends because they didn't do any of the internal work. You have to rebuild yourself. It's a lot more than just physical, you know.
It's huge.
Physical appearance, bro, like it's surface level. It doesn't mean it's not going to mean anything if you're not happy.
Yeah.
Again, like, what is success?
Yeah.
Got to have happiness tied to it, you know. So like building this brotherhood in this community, man, it's been way more like fulfilling than anything else. Like, it's given me purpose too. Like, so many of these people come to me and they're so grateful for like what I've given them, and I'm like, bro, you got to open your eyes and see what you've given me. I've grown so much as a person in a short period of time because of everybody. Because what they don't know is they're all of service to me as well. Yeah. Hearing their stories, hearing their struggles, seeing them push, dude, I apply all of those things into my own life. I don't know everything. You know, like I'm just lucky enough to have put us all together.
Yeah. Well, your journey and your story has been fascinating, and thank you for being so authentic, man. I mean, I don't mean that as like a cliche word.
Yeah.
Like a couple times when you were talking about your marriage and your kids, I got a little emotional, man.
Yeah.
It was really neat. The one last question I ask everybody that comes on here is, what do you say to that person that's out there struggling with their mental health, their addiction, or just don't know where to turn in life? They may just be out of shape. They just don't know where to start and what to do. What do you tell that person? Where do they get started? What do they do?
Man, first of all, I just tell them that they're not alone, you know, and don't be scared to be open. Don't be scared to reach out for help. There's people out there. When you reach out for help to the right people, you're not being like a burden. You're actually allowing other people to be of service to you, which helps them. So whatever you need to do, if you need to walk into a church, if you need to walk into a meeting, if you need to just go outside, if you're in California, you go down, walk on the beach, jump in the water, bro, pray to God. You just have to start making change. If you sit too long, it's going to beat you. You know, like you got to make change. And the only way to make change is to change. Start doing something, you know, and stick to it. Build that regiment. Like, reach out for help. If it's the gym, if you're out of shape, man, do anything. Do what you can. What do you have access to? You know, if it's a mental health thing, there's a lot of access out there. There's a lot of people you could call. There's a lot of, dude, you could walk into any church. You could walk into any treatment center. You could find someone that's going to help you, but don't stay closed off. You're not fighting this fight alone. You don't have to fight this fight alone. You know, you got to allow people into your life to where they could help you. And when you get the help and you do the work, bro, and you become who you want to be, you could pass that down and you could be that person for somebody else.
Love it.
So,
All right.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much,
Absolutely,
Jimmy, for coming
man.
on. I appreciate you.